Hello everyone, and welcome to the third instalment in this mini-series where we are taking a look at the wool from a different heritage sheep breed, with today's focus being the Herdwick. Or is it pronounced Hardwick? I'm never sure, so I'm sticking with Herdwick. That is how it's written. Now, this is a wool that comes in various shades of grey, and very occasionally oatmeal, although personally I've never actually seen that shade for sale. And this comb top that I happen to have is quite dark, but that's kind of what attracted me to it, because it does look a little bit slaty rather than the usual mid-grey that we get from Herdwicks. Now, Herdwick has a reputation for being a very coarse wool, and it is well known for being a bit challenging to work with due to its very variable consistency, with a range of shorter, soft down hairs, longer coarse guard hairs, and often more than a healthy dose of kemp. Although, just to point out, Herdwick wool does differ a great deal from sheep to sheep, with younger animals often being much darker and much less coarse than the older ones. The sheep itself has a rather mysterious origin because nobody really knows where it came from. Some speculate that it's actually a Viking breed that was brought to the northern shores, and some say it was dumped cargo from the Spanish Armada. Who knows? But the breed is officially considered to be from the lovely Lake District in Cumbria. And they are certainly a very unique looking breed. They start out jet black as little lambs, and they get progressively whiter as they mature, and they have a very sort of shaggy dog look about them. But what is the wool like? Well, the staple length tends to come between 4 and 10 inches, and do not be surprised if you get it literally 4 and 10 inches in the same batch. There is very little uniformity in the wool, with the coat tending to be shorter for the undercoat, and the guard hairs are much longer, obviously because they're the ones that are needed to shed off the rain, and these will all be mixed in together. And this extreme variation continues as well through to the micron count, where some hairs can be nice and soft where others are very, very coarse, so it can be anywhere from 25 up to 60, but it usually averages out around the 40 mark. But one thing to be aware of is that there will always be kemp, these little short coarse fibres that break easily and die very poorly. This being the case, Herdwick can be very scratchy, and only the toughest, least sensitive, or possibly slightly masochistic person is ever going to want it next to their skin by choice. But it is very strong and hard wearing, perfect for projects that need some substance to them, like rugs, wall hangings, carpets, baskets, that sort of thing. Anything really where you need to have something that has the strength, but not necessarily the softness. When you're working with Herdwick, another quality that becomes very apparent is the lack of crimp in many of the hairs. It's actually a lot like working with fur rather than wool, and you'll find it both doesn't need to be pre-drafted before you're spinning it, as it very freely comes away from itself and it's not prone to matting, and it also needs quite a lot of twist in order to hold onto itself. And so this does mean that while you're spinning, you'll find that you will be treading a fine line between having too little twist and you're creating a single that's weak and it pulls apart with the slightest tug, or one that is so overwound it is basically a cord. Once you find your pace though, Herdwick is very pleasant to spin with. Like a lot of the coarser wools, once you get that spin right, once you kind of find its sweet spot if you will, it just behaves itself and it spins up really nicely and very quickly, and it's very easy to long draw with so long as you can get that spin going fast enough. Once plied, chain plied in this case, it creates the wool that is really quite rough and would actually make quite a nice scouring cloth for cleaning dishes, if you're not planning to weave a rug with it for example. And certainly Herdwick is a great wool to have a play with if you haven't spun it before. It has got a texture not quite like anything else, and it's got so much variation with it. As I say, it really is more like working with fur rather than with wool. But if you happen to be a beginner and you're looking for that first wool to try, then this probably isn't the one for you, as it can be a little bit unwieldy and it does take some getting used to. But I hope you've enjoyed this little video all about the beautiful Herdwick wool. Or is that Hardwick wool? I don't know. Happy spinning everyone, and I'll see you again soon. you.